As you probably know, one of the 7 rings of hell is getting kids into snow clothes. So getting out the door in a timely fashion is normally kind of difficult.
Welcome back to Organized Chaos. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Kathleen.
So I'm just going to admit at the gate that we switched up our recording and release schedule for a partly selfish reason on my part. We were originally going to talk about the first half of our Belize vacation, and we'll definitely get to that in a future episode. But right now, my family is deep in the weeds of planning a kid-friendly ski trip. We also had a couple listener questions that came in, things that apply whether you're planning a ski trip or really any trip with kids. So today's episode is going to look a little different because I'm basically going to be interviewing Kathleen about one of her family's favorite winter destinations, Steamboat Springs, Colorado. I need all the tips I can get.
Don't worry, I have them all. And I am happy to talk about Steamboat Springs because it is one of our favorite places.
Welcome to Organized Chaos.
So from what I know, Steamboat is this historic western town in the Rocky Mountains, famous for champagne powder skiing, hot springs, and its reputation as Ski Town, USA. So let's get into why it works so well for families. My first question is that you've skied a lot of places. So why Steamboat, and what makes it stand out to you as a family-friendly destination?
I would say it's very family-friendly compared to other Rocky Mountain ski resorts. It doesn't feel pretentious or overwhelming. You still feel a lot of that Western down-home vibes in Steamboat.
I feel like some ski towns can feel intense.
Yeah, and kind of stuffy and more adult-oriented. Steamboat is far enough from Denver that you don't get stuck with a weekend traffic surge, and most of the Denver local ski mountains are closer, so they head there, and Steamboat just feels calmer and less crowded.
Sounds like it has that real hometown feel, right?
Definitely. There's a genuine Western cowboy heritage. There's wide downtown streets, ranching routes, and a strong local culture. It doesn't feel very manufactured.
And you guys have been there more than once?
I think I've skied there 3 times. We went there for President's Day weekend twice and over New Year's one time.
And I remember from your social media posts that there was something about a cowboy downhill. Which weekend is that?
So that sometimes corresponds with President's Day weekend, and it's wild. It's a best way to experience Steamboat. Cowboys in full hats and chaps ski or snowboard down the mountain through obstacles. And then at the bottom, normally there's like the Miss Cowboy America standing at the bottom of the hill, and they have to rope her. There's live music, there's fireworks. The kids absolutely loved it.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. So now let's talk logistics. How do you guys actually get to Steamboat with the kids and ski gear?
You have 2 main options. The easiest is flying direct from LAX to Yampa Valley Regional Airport, and that's in Hayden. We fly via United. There's only usually about 1 nonstop per day.
Nonstop right to Hayden sounds ideal.
It is. And the airport's small and close to town. It's only about 20 minutes. So transit is really easy, which makes it even easier to travel with kids.
And so is there another option? Isn't Denver kind of close?
We've flown into Denver too because when there's only 1 direct flight from LAX to Hayden, it can get pretty expensive. So Denver International Airport, I'm sure everybody's very familiar with this hub. There's tons of flights on lots of different carriers, all times of the day, and it's a lot cheaper.
How's the drive?
It's about 3 to 4 hours. It's really beautiful, but the winter driving means you have to plan ahead. You will need 4-wheel drive, and the ski gear always adds complexity.
I've flown into Denver a few times. I remember that the rental cars are off-site, so I can imagine that's a little bit annoying too.
Yeah, I would say it'd be very hard to do by yourself. But if you have two people with you, somebody can wait at the baggage claim with all the gear while the other goes to secure the car and bring it back to the airport terminals. But that's not the only way to get from Denver all the way to Steamboat. There's also a shuttle service. We haven't employed the shuttle service before, but from what I hear, it's very streamlined as well. There's Peak One Express or Summit Express. They're both good options. Honestly, it relieves a lot of stress. You don't have to drive. The drivers know the mountain terrain. You don't have to worry about shoving all your gear somewhere. So it's a really good option to deal with the headache of getting all the way from Denver to Steamboat Springs.
So if you had to give advice, which one would you go with?
If you ask me how to get to Steamboat, I would say go direct to Hayden first if it's affordable. If you can't make it work, I would say probably a shuttle would be easier than driving your own car.
So in Steamboat, where do you guys usually stay?
We have stayed slopeside twice because we were spending most of our time skiing. But then another time, we also stayed at a condo, which was about a 10-minute walk from the ski and ski out place that we rented in the past.
Condos or hotels?
Always condos for me with kids. And there's two reasons. One, washer dryer, and two, kitchen.
Yes, when kids wake up, they are immediately hungry. So having a kitchen right there to just immediately feed them is always nice for us too.
Yeah, I completely agree. The hotel breakfasts are always expensive and they eat 2 bites. And normally they're choosing the croissant over like the yogurt parfait. So it just makes it easier to make sure they're getting a nutritious breakfast for a manageable cost. And then also packing lunches saves money and having snacks helps you to avoid meltdowns.
So where exactly do you guys stay?
So the one place we stayed that was ski in, ski out and slopeside was called One Steamboat Place. It was honestly one of the nicest, not only ski accommodations, but hotel condo I've ever stayed at.
Really? What made it so special?
It was right on the mountain. It had a ski valet, rentals, its own private rental shop, a spa, heated parking, beautiful units from 1 to 4 bedrooms. They were well appointed. The sheets were nice. The beds were nice. They had a happy hour every day. I could go on and on and on about this place.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so dreamy.
I wish I could live there every day. It was wonderful. It was magic.
So do you guys always stay there?
No, not necessarily. That was a special family trip that we did with my larger family. One thing to consider if you're staying with them is that there's a 100% deposit penalty if you ever cancel. So you have to be sure you're going. They don't have any sort of insurance or refund policy if you cancel within 30 days. We've also stayed at a VRBO, like I mentioned, at Burgess Creek Bungalow, which we booked through VRBO and is managed by a company called Four Seasons Steamboat.
Is that close to the slopes?
It was only about a 10-minute walk. And if I can make any sort of recommendation to people who are skiing with kids, the Bob double stroller is the best thing you can take on your vacation with you. If anybody has a double Bob, you know it is big and it takes up a lot of space and it's kind of a pain in the butt to carry on, but it can handle the all mountain terrain like nothing else. It can carry all your ski gear. It can carry 2 kids, snacks, whatever you need. We just loaded it on the Bob and it made it a very enjoyable experience getting from the ski slopes back to our condo when we were staying at the VRBO.
We have a double Bob stroller too, and we love it. It's the best stroller. So on the topic of gear, what other kind of gear do you bring on a trip like this?
We like to pack light, and that includes not having to take as much as we can for the kids. So we've used babies away in a few different locations. Steamboat is one of them. We asked them to bring a pack and play and toys. The toys were clutch. Cregan at Babies Away asked what age our children were, and I think at that time they were 3 and 5. And she brought this huge bucket full of toys that were age appropriate, and it just kept the kids occupied. And I want to say it was like $25 for the whole time we were there. So well worth the rental. Cregan also coordinated with the property manager, so everything was in our unit before we got there. It really made traveling with kids super easy.
That's awesome. I've never used Babies Away, but I'll have to check it out. So that kind of covers off on the kid-related gear for your typical vacation. But what about ski vacations per se? Like, what do you guys even travel with for that kind of situation?
So my husband has all his snowboard gear. I've recently switched to skiing, so I don't have gear anymore, but we'll pack as much as we can in his snowboard bag. So all 4 of our helmets, all 4 of our jackets, all 4 of our pants, our mittens, our gloves, our goggles. I'm sure you all are aware with kids, they grow so fast that something that fits them one season won't necessarily fit them the next. And so I would just encourage everybody to reach out to their friend group and ask people who have kids similar size if you can borrow their clothes, because you're going to use it for a week or maybe 2, and then you're going to have to pass it down to the next kid. It just makes it more manageable. I think maybe in the last week, I gave Melissa a pair of snow boots that used to belong to my daughter for her son to wear.
Yeah, we live in California, so we don't need snow gear for our everyday lives. So we all kind of borrow from each other.
Yeah, so lean into your friend group for the snow clothes for your kids. Save a few bucks.
And then do you normally just rent the actual equipment for the kids while you're there?
We don't travel with the kids' ski equipment either for the same reason. Something they will use for one season won't necessarily fit them for the next. So we'll just rent when we get to the location. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention one specific product that I love for teaching your kids how to ski or snowboard. If you're skiing with little kids, I highly recommend the Launchpad ski harness. It comes in pink and blue, and it varies inside. You can pull the straps tighter or looser depending on your kid's size. But this thing was a total game changer for us. It made getting on and off the lifts so much easier. It let the kids get comfortable on the bunny slopes without me awkwardly holding them up by their jacket. And best of all, it seriously protected my back while giving them the confidence and control down the mountain. So it has a handle at the top and then 2 long ropes, almost like leashes, that let the kids ski in front of you. And they almost kind of tow you on the way down the hill, and you can control their speed, because we all know at the beginning they have no idea how to stop. So look this up, Launchpad ski harness. It's an absolute must for families on ski trips.
That's so cool. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look it up. Thanks for the tip. On the topic of tips, a listener did write in to ask whether we recommend ski school or teaching kids how to ski ourselves. So what do you think?
I would say when it comes to ski lessons, I really think it depends on the kid. If you have an eager, athletic kid who listens to you well, you can absolutely teach them yourself. I would say it also depends on the parent's skill level too. But if your kid is less into the skiing or doesn't thrive when you're the coach, a lesson could be a much better fit. You, at the end of the day, know your child best and what kind of teaching they'll respond to. And there's also real value in lessons doubling as free, but not really free, babysitter, so you and your spouse can go enjoy the slopes. When our kids were younger, ski school at Steamboat Ski Resort felt a bit like daycare, but my husband and I felt it was well worth it. Well, now that they're older and more robust, we're more comfortable taking them out ourselves, though they definitely still need a ski lesson because neither one of them knows how to stop. So it's still a work in progress, but I definitely think it varies on whether or not lessons are necessary or not. I think you could always use a refresher. Even I could use a refresher in my older years.
Thanks, Kath. I actually have a pretty similar answer. Like most parenting decisions, the answer really is that it depends. It depends on your kid's age, personality, your own comfort level on the mountain, your budget. I actually don't think this is that dissimilar of a situation as deciding whether you're going to teach your kid to ride a bike or to swim yourselves or put them in lessons for that. So for our own family, we've handled each of those decisions differently. My husband and I, we both taught our kids how to ride our bikes ourselves, even though I know you can hire a pro to do that. We probably could have taught our kids how to swim or how to snowboard, but we chose to outsource that to a third party for lessons for both of those situations. We practice with them outside of class, of course, but my kids learned snowboarding and swimming a lot better from another person. I really think there's no wrong way to do it, but for our family, lessons have been worth it. And honestly, we're sort of similar to Kathleen. We do treat the lessons as a vacation daycare in some situations. So the kids are out there learning, they're having fun, and the adults get a few hours to ski on our own or to just take a breath or have a hot cup of coffee without negotiating snacks with your kiddos every 5 minutes. So the big takeaway for me is that if you're on the fence and your budget allows it, I would recommend doing ski or snowboard lessons for kids. They do set them up for success and they make the trip more enjoyable for everyone. So getting back to Steamboat, as you said, you do lessons with your kids. So can you walk me through what a typical ski day looks like with your kiddos?
Sure. So first, we usually sign up for the morning ski school for the kids. So we get up, we all have breakfast and get ready and get the kids settled at their ski school. Steamboat Springs has hands down one of the best ski school for kids. Kids starting at age 3 to 6 are grouped together based on ability, and you can drop them off as early as 8:15, and the latest pickup is around 3. So they ski, they play, they do crafts, it's basically a babysitter service.
So are those flexible hours or are you kind of beholden to that schedule?
No, they're flexible. So as you probably know, one of the 7 rings of hell is getting kids into snow clothes. So getting out the door in a timely fashion is normally kind of difficult. So while we would strive for an 8:15 arrival, let's be honest, we probably got there more like 9. And then since my kids were on the younger side, I knew they weren't napping at the ski school. So I'd pick them up between 1 and 2 and take them down for a real nap at our condo, which was really helpful.
That sounds like a perfect bite-sized ski day for the little ones.
And for me too, I can't last a full 8 hours on the slope. So it just felt more manageable for us to all enjoy our time together. I will say, though, one of my daughters, I think she just spent the whole time inside eating goldfish and drinking hot chocolate. So don't think that they're going to come away as expert skiers unless they really have that drive to learn.
Well, it's nice that the school lets them have the flexibility to either be out there on the snow or inside with the goldfish.
I mean, I really wish she would have learned to ski.
I guess that was a little bit of the point, right?
Yes. So what's awesome about Steamboat, and as I mentioned, they're so family friendly. They just opened something called Greenhorn Ranch, which is a short gondola ride up the mountain, and it's dedicated specifically to learning. The only way you're allowed to get into the Greenhorn Ranch area is if you sign up for lessons, but they have something called terrain-based learning, and it really helps new skiers to understand the basics of their skills with some different sort of S-curves. They have their own dedicated chairlift that goes slower. So they've really leaned into having this be a family-friendly area where people will go back again and again for their kids to learn how to ski.
Wow, that sounds great. So are there any other places that you'd recommend checking out for skiing in that area?
I would. So there's a place called House and Hill, and they have tubing, skating, skiing. It's Colorado's oldest ski area, and kids under 4 can ski there for free, and Sundays are free for everybody.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
They also have night skiing, and the tubing, like I said, is a hit. It's just something different to do other than just skiing all day.
Tubing is always a hit, especially with the kids.
I mean, I love it too, but I would say for Howson, make sure you book ahead. They do 1-hour time slots, and disclaimer, you have to be 3 feet tall to ride, and there's no lap riding. So this won't be for the youngest kids in your group.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. So when you're not skiing or tubing, are there any other fun things that you'd recommend for kids?
I mentioned it's Steamboat Springs, so there are many hot springs around Steamboat. I specifically would recommend Strawberry Park Hot Springs. It was our favorite.
Do you have any tips about it?
Well, the reservations open 30 days out, so make sure you reserve your space in advance. If you want to book some sort of spa service, which they have there, there's no self-service, so make sure to do that in advance. And you have to have four-wheel drive in the winter. If you don't, they won't let you in, and it's just not safe, so don't try. If you don't have four-wheel drive, there are options, though. There's a shuttle that you can call.
And any other fun activities? I'm thinking like ice skating, anything like that.
Personally, I think ice skating is very dangerous, and I feel like I have a broken tailbone to speak to that. I would opt out of ice skating, but at Halson, they definitely have it. But something else they have that's super fun is bumper cars on ice.
Ooh, which one would you recommend? It sounds like bumper cars.
Definitely bumper cars on ice.
I haven't gone ice skating in probably 15 years. In my mind, I'm really good at ice skating and I can do it, but I'm probably more like you and would fall and break a tailbone or something.
Let's just preserve our lower backs.
So now let's talk food. Where do you guys usually eat?
So if we're talking about mountainside, there's two places we really like. T-Bar is on the way down the hill. It's got really great vibes. There's outdoor seating. They have picnic tables, a whole grip of beer you can choose from, great food. And the kids can basically play in the snow outside while you enjoy après on the mountain. And then in addition to that, if you go a little bit further down the mountain, there's Slopeside Grill. Food there is great. It's a little more expensive at Slopeside than it is T-Bar, but both are great options.
And what about dinner choices?
We've been a lot of places. Some of our favorite were Truffle Pig, Carl's, Laundry, Cafe Diva, and Periodic Table.
So you named a lot of restaurants. They all sound really good. So what's the TLDR? Which ones would you really recommend, especially with kids?
If you're going to go with kids, Truffle Pig and Carl's are actually owned by the same person, but they're very different. Truffle Pig is more like a bistro, more modern American fare, and Carl's is more of a steakhouse, but both are family friendly and we felt comfortable having our kids there. I would save Laundry and Cafe Diva and even Periodic Table just for a date night or an adult's dinner. It really didn't have we didn't see any kids there, and I don't think our kids would have appreciated the ambiance.
Have you ever shown up to a restaurant with your kids and you immediately realize it's not for kids? We've totally done that before, and you're like, oopsie.
I think we have, and we just left. We're like, let's go somewhere else. This is not for us.
So what's your final verdict on Steamboat? Would you go back?
I absolutely would recommend this place for kids, for families. Even Slopeside, I don't think I mentioned this, they have little red wagons that are free. So you show up, they have all these little red wagons queued so you can put your kid and all your gear in the wagon and roll it up to the chairlift or roll it up to the ski school. They just make it very inviting and family friendly, and I would recommend it 100%.
Ah, that sounds so well thought out. I love that place sounds like it works for kids and adults. So thanks for walking us through Steamboat.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to relive my vacation again.
And thanks to you all for listening to Organized Chaos. We'll see you next time. Also, as you heard, we love your feedback and questions. Please keep them coming. Find us at ourorganizedchaos.com or DM us on TikTok or Instagram at our.organized.chaos. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening. See you on our next adventure.